Ryan Warner got you and some other people a little fired
Lock
up.
them up.
Yeah, hashtag lock them up. Is it time? Is it time to lock them up? But his tweet was, what if we took this U20 team, locked them in a room, and only left them wrestle freestyle for the next 4 years? Would they be better or worse than the traditional route? So it's time for the old folk style versus freestyle debate.
The traditional route being not locking under 20-year-olds in a room.
Okay, well, I think...
I would agree. That's non-traditional.
Correct.
So, yeah, I would... so are we trying to improve upon the gold medal results, the first place results right now?
Yes.
Okay, got it. So we're first. We're the best, and our U17s are the best. And we're trying... And so the theory is let's blow up the entire system. Nuke the entire system of folk style, and on the offset, just so with really only with one goal in mind, the idea that we will improve freestyle results at the pinnacle events. That's really what this is all about, because it takes nothing. It takes no consideration to the entire fabric of American wrestling and the coaches and the culture around it, and that there is inherent value with that. It's all pointing to Olympic and world titles and making that the only thing that decisions matter. And it's also incredibly debatable if it would or wouldn't help, because we're, by definition, almost all these nations are exclusively freestyle, and yet we're beating them, which doesn't make sense. And then you have all these, there's so many examples of like our best guys coming out. Some of their best runs are most proximal to the, what you would say is a detrimental training of folk style wrestling. You got guys making the team.
Don't put words in my mouth like that.
You got guys making the teams. Well, I'm just saying, maybe not you. We'll see what you say. But the guys who are in the middle of college training, making teams and winning medals. You have guys who's the height of their powers, the best runs they ever had were in college. And I could rattle off name after name. Gilman, Ramos, Stieber, Zane, Jordan Burroughs, Jake Farner, Kyle Snyder, Jaden Cox, just to name a few. For whatever reason, some of their best years and best performances happened while in college.
You think Gilman's best years were in college?
And
not when he won a world title?
Many
years after college? Or an Olympic medal many years after college?
Hold on. He made the world team right after college and got silver. That was as well as he did in a full field, you know? Yeah, I mean, I think that's up there for sure. It's up there. Certainly a comparable result. I don't think, I look at Gilman in 17, I look at Gilman in 21. He's like probably a little better, but, and either way, he's making the teams over guys who are training exclusively freestyle. All they're doing is freestyle. And I've just never been able to, I want to understand. Everyone tells me that just training freestyle is such a huge advantage and it would help us so much. Yet I keep finding all these people that are training folk style during the season beating those guys. And unless you're just saying their pedigrees are so much better, I just don't understand it. Help me understand why this happens. Why is Dayton Fix making world teams in the middle of his college career and winning world silver medals?
Okay. My take is it's like prohibition. Like you can't...
That's the best opening line.
You can't... it's too late now to go back and redo it. Like, and make everything freestyle. But I think that everything... Or what the main argument for, like your argument, that guys are making it right out of college or in college, has to do with the season training system, the rigor of going through a college season. And it isn't because guys are training arm bars or escapes, stand-ups from bottom. It's the season and the structure of going through a college season. And a lot of times your best age athletically in the sport of wrestling is 22 to 25. That's just going to be your athletic peak for a sport like wrestling. Now, I'm not saying we should nuke the entire system like you said. I don't say that. I don't think you can do that.
That's what he says.
I think it is pretty undeniable, or it's debatable, sure you can debate it, that if we kept the same exact system with high schools and college and a season format and a discipline that you get from that and making weight a bunch of times is another thing people say. But if you just wrestled freestyle matches, like if you train for the sport you want to be good at, and like if you want to win world and Olympic medals, it's freestyle wrestling right now. I'm not saying folk style is bad, or that if you wrestle folk style, you're not going to get better at freestyle. They're very comparable. Of course, you're going to get better at freestyle wrestling if you're training folk style. That's undeniable. But there's a reason as soon as you're done with college, you stop. You stop training folk style wrestling because that's no longer the goal to win a national title. It's to win a world and Olympic title. What you're saying is true, guys would continue to train folk style wrestling after they're done with college. You should be partitioning for women's college wrestling to be folk style, but you don't, because it's like, yes, you train freestyle if that's your goal, to be best at freestyle.
I think no matter how good U.S. gets, if they ever just start blanking everybody, winning like 9 out of 10 golds and just crushing everybody, Russia, Japan, Iran, all comers, I don't think there will, and we keep the system as is, and we just get that good in the next 10 years, 20 years, whatever, you will never see another country go, hey, maybe we should adopt folk style to get better and catch the USA.
You say, hey, maybe we should adopt.
They steal our stuff. They steal a lot of our folk style technique. You watch
Those are
Tazudinov.
freestyle moves.
Tazudinov.
If they work in freestyle, they're freestyle moves. That's nothing to steal.
Can I
Practice all them. Also, if you're going to try to get good at the guitar, you may play the bass as well. You may learn some other stuff, but you spend most of your time practicing guitar to become the very best guitar player. You don't say, I'm going to become the best bass player in the country, and then...
Actually, I would advocate that starting with the bass is... I mean, this is not really...
Oh, my God.
But if it's not the point he's going to make up, I would actually disagree. I think starting with bass is a great entry-level way to learn music and learn rhythm and learn notes. So I would actually...
Or piano or whatever, but then when you try to become the greatest guitar player, you don't spend like 90% of your time or 50% of your time playing bass when you're in your 20s.
So many of the best soccer players in the world, in Brazil, this is huge. They spend a great deal of their time training futsal, which is, I don't know if you guys know what that is, but it's basically an indoor sort of soccer league with no out of bounds. There's no offsides. The rules are a little different. And they attribute this as to being a huge part of their improvement and growth and why they're so good and why they develop some skills. And that's not it's not apples to apples, but by your logic, they should only be training outside, not 9-on-9 or whatever it is in soccer, 11-on-11. Well,
I don't think you can just say by your logic, it's like a direct comparison to this soccer game you're talking about.
What?
You're saying by his logic that they should be doing the exact
by the
same.
logic that you should just be training freestyle if you're trying to be best at freestyle.
Every country has other styles that they are native in Iran and India. They have Kushti. A lot of people in other countries in Europe do Greco and freestyle, and they start with gymnastics. So we're not saying eliminate every other sport but freestyle wrestling or every other technique. We're saying that if you want to be the best at freestyle, you should probably do that in your formative years, high school and college.
Predominantly, but you can do other stuff to help. Just like you don't strictly wrestle to get better at wrestling. You do conditioning, you do sprints, you lift weights, you do gymnastics. Like, it all helps. It makes you better.
I want to bring us back to the question because I
Locking
feel like
people in rooms is really what we need to do.
I feel like the question got distorted into, oh, how do we become like the best? But no, the question is, if we only train freestyle, would we be better or worse? And I think the answer is we'd be better. Like, unless you really think that folk style makes you better at freestyle, which I think I would completely disagree with. That's the position you have to take if you think that that's better.
I think it would only be 0.5, 1% better, but there's no way they're worse. I know.
The 1% is what matters. Like 1% maybe.
I'm aware.
1% maybe you win. You beat Ramazanov if you're Aaron Brooks. In the semifinals. Like 1%.
I'm not going to say that.
When you're holding on to a leg in folk style that if you hold on to it, even if you go to your back, you don't lose. Now in freestyle, you do. It's those like muscle memories that are built up that shine in like those moments.
Don't blame. Hold on. Don't blame folk style for bad tactics. Hold on. Don't blame folk style for bad tactics. You have to know the tactics of the sport.
Okay, hold on. Wait, I don't even want you to make this argument because I want you to go back and tell me, do you think that folk style makes you better at freestyle?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my goodness.
Of course it does.
No, wrestling folk style makes
Yeah.
it better at freestyle. They're very comparable.
Okay.
You think that someone who trains freestyle their entire if you took the same person, you cloned them. One wrestles freestyle their whole life, one wrestles folk style and then freestyle.
I don't know. We see it all the time. Guys that wrestle a bunch of folk style and freestyle beat guys that wrestle freestyle their whole life.
Yeah, of course we
see a lot of
it.
cloning.
I don't know.
Of course we see it, but at the end of the day, like
course we see it.
the best guys that train freestyle are going to be better than the best guys that train folk style.
This is we're making a dish. There's something in the recipe that's working really, really well for America. Okay? There's different parts of it.
We didn't do as good as Dagestan did at the Olympics.
They're maybe the
They're training freestyle. You think they're training folk style?
Sometimes they beat us, sometimes we beat them. What are you talking about? I mean, like, we beat them plenty.
They got way more medals than anyone else at Worlds.
Yeah,
or at the Olympics.
The Olympics, and yeah, we didn't have a great Olympics. Like you're just falling into the trap of the recency of one thing. Like we're right there with the Russians. That's proven. We're not as good as them yet. We've made. I mean, think of where we were 15 years ago, and look at where we are now. And now we want to. You want to change everything. There's something in
where we are now because of RTC systems and because there's more freestyle coaching.
Right. What RTC systems poured into all the look at U20 and U17.
They're all training at RTCs. What are you talking about?
Are you really giving the RTCs credit for those guys' success? These guys have been at clubs and elite training, but not the RTCs.
A big reason that they're able to train freestyle. Dude, 5 guys on the team were Nittany Lion Wrestling Club guys. Who are going to Nittany Lion Wrestling Club to train with the best guys, the best freestylers.
You're taking where they've been the last 6 months and attributing that success to what they've been doing their entire lives.
It doesn't hurt.
These guys haven't been. Okay, you don't. It's not just the last place, the last rumor. Well, that doesn't.
Are you going to tell me that you don't think that Josh Barr jumped levels going and training in the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club?
Of course. But
training freestyle the whole time.
If you just
well, he was training folk style too. Folk style.
Yeah.
Freestyle
he
this
was
summer.
Wrestling folk style matches this year.
Yeah, that's true.
I know. There's something in the sauce, and y'all want to change it up. And
no, we're not saying we want to change it up.
Yeah,
I think you are. I said you can't change.
I'm saying if you make the argument, give a guy a quad to change.
we did it.
Hold on, I don't think we did it. I barely got to talk. You give a guy 4 years, and he either trains folk style and freestyle, or he trains only freestyle. The guy, if you train freestyle, it's better for your freestyle career.
I haven't seen that. I mean, there's a lot of examples where that's not the case in America. I could find I don't want to.
Yeah, but you've never put a guy in a college system where it's.
Oh yeah,
they
never tried communism the right way. No one ever did communism the right way. You got to do it the right way, and it would be good.
You can't compare it like a guy who when he's 20 to 24 is different than when he's 24 to 28. Like we haven't seen it.
Maybe one day,
and we never will.
In the chat, this has been getting a lot of traction. CP, you got Adam Fellers on your side. He definitely thinks Folkstyle helps us. Unfortunately, literally everybody else is saying Kozak is in here fighting the fight. And,
they can all fight.
Yeah, maybe one day we'll
maybe one day we'll be on top.
Look, what about Folkstyle makes people better at freestyle?
I mean, well, one did you see? Look at if there was a slight restriction on the amount of you were able to fake injury, PJ Duke maybe techs by Takayev.
So it made him worse.
Well, listen.
Okay.
The pace killed him. He did not have the skill to make up for how good that guy was.
So you're saying Folkstyle pace is what makes us
pace,
better.
physicality, toughness is our American intangibles.
You can't replicate that in freestyle. Iranians and Indians wrestle that way.
It's just part of it.
They train freestyle.
They're looking up at us. They're looking up at us. Your examples wish they were us. So what are you talking about?
Iran did beat us in the
your opinion?
team race, senior team race.
Yeah, it's been us. If you had to take the last 2 quads, we're better than Iran.
And you don't think that's a symptom of the college season again, like we kind of talked about? You think it's only because of Folkstyle?
What college season did PJ Duke have?
What about Folkstyle
College
inherently makes us like in better shape?
Well, I mean, there's no breaks. It's harder to win a match. It's harder to get off the mat with dominantly. It's just more. There's just more exertion involved. Whereas freestyle is a little more. It's a little more technical, maybe you would say. It's a little more. It favors better athletes, I would say. There's just something in the folk style system grit that really helps us in these matches, and that is to say nothing of the tactical shortcomings we may display in freestyle are just a result of not training these guys on the tactics.
Don't you think that training the technique of freestyle and getting better at that is a better solution than we'll just like keep out like being in better shape than them?
I think we're seeing a trend going the right way with guys folk style training and focus. Like, you think Spencer Lee's not the best example, but he's a great one. He's like, I never rolled across my back. I never thought that was good. I only trained. So it's like, was not a big deal for me. You look at a lot of the best guys now, they're all wrestle super safe is maybe not the best word. They're not these high flying, crazy roll across your back guys that like folk style, I think even like 8, 9, 10 years ago was. Now everyone is sort of crafting their attacks, finishes, down block, re-attack. Look how far that's come so long. And that's a reflection of the international game. The down block, re-attack, defense, in position. Like, we're getting away from the finishing off our back and dive rolling under. Like, that is going away, right? And now it's much more about efficient and like what you would call a freestyle finish is just the right way to finish a leg attack. The right way to finish a leg attack is not to go across your back or not to get extended and smushed out and that's the way you should want.
That's Ben Askren.
That's the way Ben would agree with me. Ben had to do what he had to do to win matches. He found a way. But it's not ideal to be smushed underneath there. It's not ideal to have to go across your back. Like, things have broken down for you to have to resort to that. And I would say every way you were taught that we teach and everyone that was taught to finish a leg attack has the exact applicability, folk style and freestyle when you're starting out. How you finish a single, how you finish a double, how you finish a high crotch. Those first finishes, they're all freestyle finishes.
So I'm hearing from you.
Same down block. So I never say wrestling is wrestling because I think that's sort of corny. But it's like, man, for a lot of the stuff that's winning at Folkstyle is winning at freestyle.
I feel like you're making excuses for Folkstyle now and just saying, well, Folkstyle is actually becoming more like freestyle. So like,
no, I'm saying I think kids are aspirational for both and are crafting their games around success in both. And not letting guys get to your legs is a key skill in both. Don't let guys in on your legs. And you watched 10 years ago, everyone's letting them in and dive rolling under. That's going away.
No one's arguing that there's overlap between the two.
I have a compromise that I think might solve.
I think Christian agrees with us. He just doesn't realize it.
That we're at. And then maybe JD can take us some other topics. But my magic wand wish would be you start with rec and elementary and middle school, and they all switch to freestyle from folk style for all the major tournaments. Then all the high schools in the world in the country have 4 years to switch to freestyle. Then all the colleges do, and then after that, it takes about 12 years. We're all freestyle in the schools, but every summer, everybody that's not on a world team or whatever can have a big festival, like Mongolia has their big natural festival, and we make folk style a big celebration, every county fair, everything, and it's a lot of mat returns, and it's a lot of who can escape from bottom, and you're allowed to funk roll, and then everybody that loves folk style gets to celebrate all summer at the big festivals for folk style wrestling, just like other countries have their folk style wrestling.
I love it, Spay.
Just an idea.
All right, we solved all the problems of the world.